Hello BookTube, this is my January manga wrap-up. What I do is every month I put in a pre-order with Book People, the great bookstore in Austin, Texas, for the following month's forthcoming volumes of manga in the series I actively collect and debut volumes of series I would like to try out. What Book People does is over the course of the month, as the volumes come in, they collect them and hold them at the store until my order is complete. At which point, usually at the end of the month or the very beginning of the following month, Book People ships or mails the books to me. And I usually get the books the first or second week of the following month. So for January, I put in the pre-order at the end of December. The books came in over the course of January. Book People mailed the books to me at the end of January. I think it was the last Thursday of January. And I received the books the first Wednesday of February. The sole exception is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which I'm currently pre-ordering from Barnes & Noble because about a month and a half ago there was a sale on or a discount on pre-orders. So I took advantage of that. So Volume 5 and then 6 and 7 will be coming from Barnes & Noble. So I'm going to talk about the books in the order in which I read them, starting with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Part 7, Still Ball Run, Volume 5, by Hirhiko Araki. So, Still Ball Run is the 7th part of the long-running JoJo's Bizarre Adventure series, which is 40 years old. Each part of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is one long story arc, but also effectively a manga on its own. Still Ball Run sees the series move into a new timeline, which was birthed at the end of Part 6, Stone Ocean. So Still Ball Run is set in the late 19th century, and it features a cross-country and transcontinental horse race starting in San Diego, California, and running all the way through to New York City. This race has attracted a colorful collection of characters, and over the course of the race, it is revealed that there are ulterior motives for the race. The main character is Johnny Joestar, who you can barely see in this front cover, but there's a very nice picture of him in the back. So Johnny was a fairly famous young jockey who was paralyzed after being shot in the back. Before the Still Ball Run begins, he meets the other main character, Gyro Zappelli, an executioner from Naples. The Zappelli family uses as weapons a pair of steel balls that, given sufficient spin, can do various things. And one of those things turns out to be giving Johnny the ability to walk temporarily. So Johnny joins the race and tags along with Gyro, looking to learn the secret of the spin. Since this is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, over the course of the race, Johnny and a number of other competitors and others begin to develop superpowers called stands. And Johnny's stand is in part about him imbuing at least at first, his fingernails with the spin. So Johnny and Gyro uncover that there is something else going on with this race. That the race also serves as something of a scavenger hunt for the divided pieces of a corpse of a major religious figure. Initially, it's kept ambiguous about who it is, but in this volume, it is fully revealed to be Jesus. And the pieces of Jesus' corpse are one of the things that kind of grant stand abilities, or at least unlock stand abilities. There's also a weird location that the race runs through that some people have gained abilities there. So this volume sees a new ally joining Johnny and Gyro's fight to find or race to find the Holy Pete corpse pieces, as well as a villain team up that takes place at the end of the volume. So the volume begins with a fight between Johnny and Gyro and another major competitor in the race, Diego Brando, who has begun to develop his own stand ability and has acquired a piece of the corpse. Taking place at the same time, Lucy Steele, the wife of the race promoter, has uncovered the secret behind the race and is trying to escape the president's men. The president of the United States is the one behind trying to find the corpse pieces. So eventually, Lucy manages to join up with Gyro and Johnny, and they face one of Funny Valentine's goons. And then at the end of the volume, Johnny and Gyro are attacked by another one of Funny Valentine's minions, working with Diego Brando, who at this point has joined forces with the president to help track down the corpse pieces, as well as in exchange for a tremendous amount of money. So I enjoyed this volume quite a bit. I felt, the fourth volume was a bit of a letdown, but this fifth volume was pretty good. I really liked the fight with Blackamoor in the middle of the volume, and the cliffhanger at the end of the volume was really good. My one critique is the fight at the beginning with Diego and the aftermath of that fight. You get the feeling that Gyro really should be keeping eyes on the prize, which is that he wants to run this race because there is a little boy in Naples who is going to be executed if he doesn't win a pardon for him. And pretty much rubbing Diego's face in defeat is not necessarily going to advance that goal much, is it? But I think maybe part of my issue with the series might have been that at this point the series is transitioning from a weekly series, which the first few chapters were, to a monthly series, which the series and subsequent entries in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure become. And getting that same material, I think might have been a bit of an issue I was having, or kind of that transition was an issue I was having. Anyway, but yeah, so really liked Volume 5 of Still Ball Run. I also really liked Volume 17 of Dark Gathering by Kenichi Kondo. So, Dark Gathering is about a young man named Kaitaro who can sense the supernatural and is attractive to the supernatural. One day, he and his best friend, I'm blanking on her name. Aiko were cursed. And this led to Kaitaro not wanting to have anything to do with the supernatural. However, Aiko and Kaitaro's family helped him get out of his funk, out of wanting to be a shut-in. So Kaitaro has re-entered the world and has become a tutor. His first client is Yayoi, Aiko's young cousin who can see spirits, and immediately drafts Kaitaro into her campaign of going to various haunted places in Japan. The more violent the ghosts, the better, so that she can kick their asses and forcibly conscript them into her army so that she can build up an army so that she can take on an embryonic, monstrous entity that kidnapped the spirit of Yayoi's mother before the series began. This volume sees the conclusion of Operation Bellflower Regicide, in which Yayoi leads her army of ghosts against a malevolent little shit of a god who has taken one of Yayoi's friends and Kaitaro's other student, Ai, as a bride, as a sacrificial bride. So this war was intended to rescue her. That fight concludes, and I really love how it concludes. I also really liked the sort of the picking up the pieces of what happened and the build up to the next storyline. One issue I had, now that I think about it though, was that up to this point we were led to believe that I only had her brother in her immediate family. However, this volume introduces not only her father and mother, but also that she has several more siblings. And it would have been nice to have got to know some of these siblings, particularly one in particular, before something happens to that sibling. But yeah, so let me show you some images. It's just amazing. I really love the artwork in this series. It's really quite good. So probably the weakest, or one of the weakest volumes I read for this month was Nue's Exorcist Volume 4 by Kota Kawae. So this is a series about a young man named Gakuro who comes from a family of exorcists, although he apparently did not know it. At the beginning of the series, he meets a powerful spirit named Nue, who is trapped at his school. And Nue makes a contract with Gakuro that gives him abilities to fight spirits and other exorcists. And she basically has a plan for him. And he ends up getting involved in the local exorcist community and having to fight them and malevolent spirits. So this volume sees a new member added to the team and a really weird method of trying to find that new member. and then they have to go to a village populated by exorcists or guarded by exorcists to find an item that is necessary to help Nue. And there they confront that this village has been invaded by malevolent spirits and people working for other beings like Nue. So while I am curious to see how Gakuro grows as a character, right now he is very indecisive, very unsure of himself. But I'm not entirely sure if the plot itself and where the plot is going is going to keep me invested in Gakuro's character growth. Particularly given that there is a lot of weird well, on the one hand, the book, the series has a lot. I mean, right now, majority female cast, but the problem is that two of the cast members, Kazusa and Shiroha, are both in love or has a crush on Gakuro. And I'm kind of wondering, is the rest of the female cast going to have similar feelings for Gakuro as well? Given that on the way to this hidden village, they have to cross a river in their swimsuits, and there is a wardrobe malfunction. Enough said about that. Next, I read Phantom Busters, Volume 2 by Neochoco. So this is another shonen series about exorcists set at a Japanese high school. In this case, the cast so far is mostly of 4 young men who form an occult society or occult club at the school. One of the members, Eugene, has no supernatural abilities at all. The other 3 have varying levels of supernatural ability. Mogari can eat spirits. Mogari can eat spirits. Kyoru can see the supernatural, and Kotaro can talk to them. So together they work as a team. In this volume, they are trying to get approval for their club, and they have a weird comedic conflict with the student council, whose president on the surface does not believe in the supernatural, but beneath it all, he's really excited for things. They also have conflict with Eugene's mother and a friend of Eugene's who wants him to join the student council with her. And then there's some politics going on with Mogari's family. So far this series is fairly episodic, very comedic, and I'm enjoying it. I particularly like the bonds that have formed between the 4 leads so far. I'm rather enjoying it, although that might change at some point. You never know. Particularly the thing with the student council might put me off at some point. Yeah. So the other candidate for the weakest volume that I read is Kaijin Fugeki Volume 1 by O Great. So this is a series I'm not entirely sure whether it's set in our reality or in an alternate timeline, in which natural disasters are sentient monsters called knights and periodically attack humanity. The series is set somewhere in Japan, and as the series begins, British force evacuate to Japan after a night attack on Britain. And so the survivors of this ship sort of take up residence in Japan and start to help the local community fight local knights and stuff. One thing I will say about this is that the artwork is rather good. I really like the artwork, but my issue is the story. I'm like, what the hell's going on? Is this our reality? Is it an alternate reality? Is it the present? Is it the future? What's going on? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And I really didn't particularly care for it. Although, again, the artwork is rather pretty. Next, I read Sakamoto Days Volume 20 by Yuto Suzuki. This is about a former hitman named Taro Sakamoto who fell in love, retired from the business, and opened up a convenience store. However, the assassination life is not done with him. This volume is a setup for the next big story arc and deals with Sakamoto trying to figure out how to protect his family from the JAA and the Order, as well as X's gang, and also trying to improve his skills because he'll need it. And it also deals with two other major characters, Shin and I'm blanking on his name, Heisuke, training to improve their skills. So this volume is largely set up for that and for the next big arc. One of the delights in this volume is Nagumo, who is a troll of a character. But, yeah. Sakamoto Days, it was pretty fun. Although, I'm a bit more down on the series right now. Next, I read Gachiakuta Volume 9 by Kei Urana. This was probably my favorite volume out of all of the ones that I read. So, Gachiakuta is set in a world in which there's an artificial habitat floating above a planet, and this artificial habitat dumps its garbage onto the planet. The main character is Rudo, who grew up on the sphere and was exiled to the planet below for a crime he did not commit. And when he comes to on the planet, he discovers that he's a giver. He can imbue a vital instrument, an object of deep emotional attachment to himself, with supernatural capabilities. And so Rudo joins an organization called the Cleaners, who specialize in destroying trash beasts, in exchange and the understanding that they will help him find a way back up to the sphere so that he can enact bloody revenge. This volume sees a continuation of a conflict between Rudo's team of cleaners and a group of outlaws called Raiders. the leader of the raiders is seeking a way to go to the sphere himself and has offered Rudo a partnership in doing so. However, Rudo has rejected that, and so various raiders are currently fighting Rudo's friends. And so this volume, what I really love about this volume is that it features a tremendous amount of character growth for Rudo, and him talking about it and sort of saying it out loud. And I also really love the artwork. The artwork in this series is really, really good. So that's Injin. He also has a really good bit of character growth in this volume. But what is really amazing is and then that. Just that is a one brilliant double page spread. So this was really, really fun. And finally, I read volume 17 of Record of Ragnarok by Azychika on art, Shinya Umemura on the writing, and Takumi Fukui on the script. Excuse me. So, Record of Ragnarok is about a competition between representatives of humanity and representatives of the gods fighting it out to decide humanity's fate. If the gods win, humanity is exterminated. If humanity wins, they survive, at least for another 1,000 years. This volume sees the beginning of the fight between Nikola Tesla for humanity and Beelzebub for the gods. The volume begins with an exploration of Beelzebub's backstory before the fight begins. And then the fight takes up the later part of the volume. I really enjoyed the backstory of Beelzebub. It's really moving. And one thing I like about this series is they do a pretty good job at times of characterizing some of the fighters. Even if at times those characters are pretty reprehensible. Jack the Ripper comes to mind. It's like, oh, and this artwork is really great. So, yeah. And then the fight itself begins, which basically there is an exchange of moves. Let me show you some. And then also there is some commentary as well. You show there's that. Here we go. Yeah. So I've been enjoying Record of Ragnarok, although it does get a bit repetitive as each fight, even though different in its own way, has the same basic structure of The fight's introduced. Bit of one fighter's backstory is looked into. There's a bit of a fight. Then the other character's backstory is looked into. There's more of the fight. Eventually, there's a conclusion with some form of understanding between the two fighters. So yeah, but it's fun. So that was my January manga wrap up. I will be back probably sometime early in March for the February manga wrap up, and of course the February manga haul. This one is probably going to be even longer than this one because there's, I think, 9 volumes in that one. But I think they might come a little bit sooner than this month's because I think the last volume of that one comes in the 17th. I think it's like a full week before a full week before the end of February. So I might get it in a bit sooner, but you never know. Anyway, BookTube, thank you. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you soon.